Oh. Ninja nerfs. Yes. They've already happened. And we weren't told. But healers need to know. So let's get into it. Alright, so there's been a fair bit of communication from the community at the moment. You can find forums, you can find Reddit, you can also find fellow YouTubers that put videos out about the current Sacred Ground Nerf. But I'm still seeing healers stack Sacred Ground. So, what is the nerf? On launch, everyone knows that Sacred Ground stacked. You could put 3 mediocre Sacred Grounds on top of each other and they'd just become one monster Sacred Ground. That is no longer the case. Sacred Ground does no longer stack. And not only does it no longer stack, the most recent Sacred Ground overrides the previous one. So this can get tricky now, because if you've got a very good healer and he puts his Sacred Ground down and then a much lower level healer puts his Sacred Ground down, you've lost all the heals from the top healer. Now, before I go any further and talk about how we can deal with this and what to do, I'd like to see what you think. Do you think it's a bad change? Do you think it's a good change? I actually think it's a good change. And I think it makes healers, good healers, much more prioritized now. But I think we can all agree that it's dirty that they didn't tell us. No patch notes, no nothing. The community had to find this out. And I wonder if there's any other ninja nerfs that they've done and we haven't found yet. Or buffs. Ninja buffs as well. We don't know. Now, like I said, going into how we can use this going forward, healers are much more prioritized now. Before, you could just have a bunch of people running secondary lifestyles with Sacred Ground and just drop it on top of even the main healer's Sacred Ground and just all stack. You can't do that anymore. The secondary life staff now in a PvE group, even PvP war, is pretty much gone. Unless you do a few things. You can sort it out. If you've got good coordination with your teammates, you just can get away with it. There's a couple of ways you can do it. You can either rotate your cooldowns. Now, Sacred Ground, once you got to level up, doesn't really have much of a cooldown anyway. By the time my Sacred Ground finishes, I'm almost 4 seconds away from getting it back. So that's a little bit of a tough one, but you can do it with a teammate. Another way is putting your Sacred Grounds right next to each other. Now, when it overlaps, it will only use one, but obviously if it covers the space separately, you'll be able to cover that much ground. And my favorite is when you're in a battle, a PvE battle normally, the battle with the tank can normally move forward or back. Depends on the tank you have. Maybe they can keep it right still in there if they're a very good tank, and that can happen. But you can do the stepping stone technique. You put one down, then your teammate puts one down as it keeps moving forward and forward. And honestly, it's quite simple still to do. The only thing is now it does require some coordination, and this could get ugly if you're in dungeons as such and you're not communicating and you've got a lower level healer dropping heals over your main healer. Like I said, I'm still seeing people stack it, and we need to know. Healers need to know. And like I said, it's not their fault. New World hasn't told us. They've ninja nerfed it. Stop stacking your Sacred Grounds. I'll see you in the next one.